Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another weekly Discord Q&A. If you haven't followed the Discord yet, the link is down below. It's just at Appetite for the Dead. That's the server name. I do these weekly Q&As every Wednesday, and yeah, if you want to take part in them, definitely go join the Discord. But thank you so much for all of your questions. There's some really great ones here. Obviously, if you're new here, make sure to hit subscribe if you want more Walking Dead content like this. I'm really excited for the next 2 weeks. I'm really excited to see where really the entire franchise is going to go, because they're in a really tricky situation. And yes, somebody tagged me in something on Twitter where they asked the actress who plays Hope, you know, like what's going on with the Rick movies, and she said, I have no idea. I have no idea if Scott Gimple is even finished writing them. And you know, and what I would say to that is, I mean, she's not going to know anything, right? Like, the people on World Beyond aren't going to know anything of what Andrew Lincoln and, like, you know, Scott Gimple and what the movies are going to be doing. Like they would have no idea. Someone like Paulina McIntosh is not even going to really know, right? Like, she might know a little bit more, but she's not going to really know. The only people who are really going to know are the people writing. You might get someone like Greg Nicotero who knows a little bit more, Robert Kirkman, Andrew Lincoln. Like, they're going to be really heavily involved, with maybe Norman Reedus finding out some stuff. Everyone else, they're not going to know anything. Do you think, like, Eugene, Rosita, any of them, do you think the actors or the actresses are going to know anything about the Rick movies? They're most likely not going to know. So that being said, like I said in yesterday's video, I said in both videos yesterday, we need to learn some stuff in 2 weeks. We really do. I'm not expecting a lot. I'm really not expecting a lot. Like, at minimum, a release date, a big update at least, right? Like, we're going to be filming next spring. That is the plan right now. We're going to be filming. The movie's going to be coming out, whatever. We have everyone signed on right now. The script is finished. And you know what I mean? Like, I want to know that. Like, Gimple has never even said that, right? Whenever he's asked about it, he just kind of says, well, you know, we're working on a script. You know, things are going well. And that's basically it for the most part. So I think a more of a confirmation that they're happening and a release date, I think, is like the minimum that you can do. After, you know, fans have been waiting for so long, I think you could at least do that. But let's get into the first question here. So what will the Reapers do in 11B and 11C, and how will Meridian factor into that? I don't think they're going to have much of a role in 11C. In terms of 11B, what I'm picturing is we're going to have some characters go to the Commonwealth and some stay in Alexandria, like Maggie. I believe Negan's going to stay in Alexandria for a little bit, but then at some point go to the Commonwealth. So I think when they're there, they're going to deal with the Reapers. I think the Reapers are going to come to Alexandria, and then that's where you kind of get like Maggie and the Commonwealth versus the Reapers a little bit. I think there's going to be a little bit of drama there anyways. And for the most part, that's basically it. I don't really see them playing too big of a role. I hope that they're not written out super fast, because I don't want this arc to be pointless. Because as of now, it kind of feels like the Reaper arc was just sort of filler, right? Like, if Leah dies, if this arc ends super fast in 9, which I'm kind of expecting it to, then it's going to feel like filler, which is something for them to do while they built up the Commonwealth on the side, right? And I don't like that. What are you expecting for the final 2 episodes of World Beyond? Also, do you think the CRM will be in part 2? Well, I'm expecting a lot of deaths, so that's a big one. And yes, I do believe the Civic Republic will be in. I don't know if they'll be in part 2, or they could be, I guess. I think it's going to be more of like learning of information regarding the CRM, right? You might see that 3-ringed logo. Negan might actually find that logo, and he'll be like, I recognize that. I saw that a long time ago, like that Jadis or whatever her name is. She had something with that logo on it. And so I kind of picture it like that. They're going to put 2 and 2 together, discover that the Commonwealth are working for someone else, like the Civic Republic or whatever the relationship is going to be there. I don't know if we're going to see them, though, but I think they will be a part of the story. We're definitely going to learn, like Gimple said, that they do know of each other, right? And it seems to be a pretty big part of the story. So do you think at the very least we will get a Rick Grimes name drop before World Beyond ends? I think that's the one thing you should do that I don't think they're going to do. It's so easy to do that they're probably not going to do it, because they're going to want to cleverly write it into some type of like piece of dialogue or make it really artsy, right? Like, they'll never be just so on the nose like that, when that's kind of just, to me, it's down to earth. To me, it's just so normal. Just say, I don't know how it would go, but you don't have to say Rick Grimes. You can say Mr. Grimes, or you can just say Rick. It depends on the context of the conversation, but if Elizabeth Kublik and Jadis are talking, maybe they can say Mr. Grimes is blah, 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 or you know, that person, Rick, he's asking this, or he's doing, you know what I mean? There's a way you can do it where it works, and I think people would be super excited about it. And I think we should get that name drop. I mean, honestly, just saying Rick Grimes, like, it would be so cool. It would be so awesome. It's actually really annoying that on the show they never use his name. They always talk about him like he's like this mysterious ghost and he's Voldemort and we should never say his name. Just say it. Like, his kids literally won't even call him dad on the show. They call him the brave man, which, yes, I know is kind of, it's sad, tragic, but it's a little adorable and cute, but it's just like, just call him dad or daddy or whatever, like, he's your dad. Just call him, just say that. You don't have to say the brave man. I've never called my dad the brave man or anything like that. It's a little too artsy, and that's what I don't like. Sometimes it works. It's a nice scene, but it's not necessarily needed, right? So they should do a Rick Grimes name drop here in World Beyond, but I don't see it happening. I think it's going to be a reference to him without using his name. Do you think the group Michonne encounters are the survivors of Perimeter and Research Center? Well, the thing about that is I have a hard time believing that, at least a portion of it. Like, I do believe it. I think it makes sense. Like, obviously, something's going to happen with this group, but I don't know how big the Perimeter group is. The group of people we saw there at the very end was pretty big. There was hundreds of people there, and that they were like organized, right? You had like 3 blocks of people. It was organized so well. That could be the Perimeter. It could be like Civic Republic soldiers traveling somewhere. I don't know. Honestly, like, I want to believe that that's the case. I just don't think they have that many people, but it is possible that there are, like, the people from the Perimeter do go there. And so maybe that group of people isn't necessarily like the Perimeter community, but they've just joined this new group sort of thing. They're all traveling to Portland kind of thing, right? If the Daryl and Carol spinoff is about them looking for Rick, how many seasons do you think it'll have? Yeah, that's the tricky part about it, right? Like, if that's sort of the basis for it, then what do you do there? Because obviously the whole story of them looking for Rick isn't going to be exciting after a while, right? Like, right now it is. And I imagine for the next couple of years, for the first like season or 2 of that show, it'll be exciting, waiting for the reunion to happen. But I think like 5 years down the road, is it going to be exciting still? I don't know if it'll be as exciting. I mean, it's hard to say because we're looking at it now and we just want it, to think that like 5 years down the road, we're not going to get that reunion yet. I don't know, to be honest. I think that you could make it all about that. And that's the thing too. Like, once we're already 4 or 5 years down the road and that reunion is actually about to happen, we're going to be so excited for it to happen, right? And so in terms of like how many seasons that show is going to be, I honestly, I think it's not going to be more than 5. I think it's going to be around 4 or 5. They are definitely going to be doing a season 2. And then at that point, it kind of depends on what they want to do with, it depends on what, I guess, Melissa and Norman want to do. I think it's going to go 4 or 5 seasons for sure, but that's about it. I don't think it's going to be any more than that. They're definitely not going to make it a 10 season thing. It's going to be 4 or 5 seasons with like a transition to the movies. And it does feel like after this show and after those movies that the characters are basically going to be done, right? The story of these characters are going to be done. So I think we have at most, I mean, the show's ending next year, but we have at most another 6 years for sure, I think, with these characters until the story's done. It depends, though, on, like, the movies and stuff, right? And what they want to do. Because I think, like, once that first movie comes out and then we start to know what a Walking Dead movie is like, maybe we're going to want a Daryl movie and stuff. And so after the show's over, they're going to transition to a Daryl movie, which I could totally see them doing. Norman Reedus would do it immediately. So, I think within this decade, like, for sure, by 2030, the Walking Dead franchise as we know it is going to be basically over and done. The characters are going to be all wrapped up, which I think is pretty epic if you think about it. If they end around 2030, and I'm not talking about obviously the main show or the spinoffs. I'm mostly talking about just like with the characters that we have right now that we love, right? The original cast. And I'm including Andrew Lincoln in that in the movies. I don't think there's much of a story after like 2030. You can't keep the characters around forever. You really can't. You want to end it at some point, and I do think it within the next 9 years for sure that the whole story here will be over, and I think it's going to be it'll be an awesome moment. To be honest, it'll be super awesome. But if you were to pick one person to survive right now in the Walking Dead World Beyond, who would it be? I would probably go with Huck, to be honest, because she's my favorite character. I just love the decisions that she makes. I love how smart she is and she's just an interesting character, right? Like she's able to, she brings something to the show that the other characters don't bring. And I think that's the one thing that, or the reason why fans really like her so much. So, I think she's likely to die, I think, in the next episode. But if I had to pick one character, to save, it would definitely be her, I think. But I'm going to leave it here. Make sure to post your thoughts down below. Thank you guys so much for all the questions. Remember, make sure to go follow the Discord. It's just at Appetite for the Dead. And I'll see you guys in the next one.